This is stunning, heartbreaking, infuriating, and the most unpatriotic acts I can even imagine for people in this country to have participated in any way, shape, or form. And I want the American public to know right now that we will not be intimidated. American patriots are fed up with the corruption from the local level to the highest level of our government, and we are going to take this country back. We are not going to be intimidated. We are not going to back down. We are going to clean this mess up now. President Trump won by a landslide. We are going to prove it, and we are going to reclaim the United States of America for the people who vote for freedom.
You are listening to Ada Jet Noise, and this is the Morning Flyby. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Ada Jet Noise Morning Flyby. Thank you for stepping in, and I'm finding out it's starting to look more and more like schlubs like me are going to end up being the places that you get your news from. Good heavens. If you haven't signed up for Parler or MeWe by now, or Rumble, if you haven't signed up, please sign up. If you care about the country at all, and you need to hear all sides of the stories, or if you're conservative or libertarian, and you need someone to be on your side to give you some sort of information other than some of the darkness we're getting from the left right now, you have to sign up for Parler. They're new, and they're trying some things that they're desperately trying to I shouldn't say desperately, but eagerly trying to prove themselves over Twitter and Facebook. So things are different. You gotta get used to the format a little bit, play with that. And it's exciting. I'll tell you that much. Far more exciting than what's happening to a lot of people on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, even demonetizing, dinging, hiding, canceling, suspending. So I am on Facebook. Ada Jet Noise on Facebook. Please join me there. Like, follow. On YouTube as well. Ada Jet Noise. YouTube. Just punch that in and you'll see my adorable face on a handful of videos. Trying to inform and trying to learn how to get the message out to, or get information as well as the message out to the public. On MeWe, Ada Jet Noise on MeWe, Parler, Rumble, all becoming more and more important as the left is feeling a little froggy these days. That was Sidney Powell at the beginning there. If Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood, Rudy Giuliani, and the rest of the gang that were on that stage yesterday are lying, they are some damn good actors. Sidney Powell was angry, upset, and heartbroken, which is kind of where I'm at right now. Because I do not believe in our election process right now. Those Dominion machines that counted and tallied our votes are the software was made in Venezuela. I mean, geez. During the Hugo Chavez era, by Hugo Chavez. Come on. Jeez. We brought those to America to tally our votes. It's amazing how we went for centuries. Well, a couple centuries. That sounds a little bit big, centuries. But we went a long time without such mass corruption. There's always been corruption in elections. Just gerrymandering alone is corruption. But nonetheless, what those Dominion machines did to this country, well, let me put it to you this way: that the people on that stage yesterday said they had signed affidavits, witnesses, documented proof, videos, obviously. If those people are indeed lying, their careers are over. Their careers are over. They'll be a laughing stock. They have 3 weeks to prove that not only was mass corruption, oh, I'll do what the media says. There's no widespread corruption. There hasn't been any widespread corruption in the election process. Look, isolated corruption is arguably the monster here. So, you want to argue that there's no widespread corruption? That's on you. But isolated corruption, you got yourself a champion right there. Let's get into this mess. Get back to the election. Good heavens. We got 3 weeks. We got until January, quite frankly, to talk about what's going on here when it comes to the elections. But they do think, and it makes more sense, that Trump's real numbers, blew out Biden's real numbers. They'll have to be able to prove that in 3 weeks. If they can't, we got ourselves a Biden in the White House. And someone like me is going to have to find a way to live with that, right? I'll live with it just the same way you lived with it with Trump. Pfizer plans to file an emergency use authorization with the Food and Drug Administration for its coronavirus vaccine Friday. Today. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar announced Thursday in the White House briefing room. Azar, speaking to reporters during the first White House coronavirus task force briefing since July, noted Moderna will soon follow suit at the FDA for its own vaccine. We crafted the greatest biopharmaceutical research, development, manufacturing, distribution, and mobilization in partnership with the Defense Department, and the unwavering support of President Trump are delivering results on that. So, the very vaccine that will start in December will obviously continue on through the year. Now, I understand some people's leeriness, and some people are just ready. They're just ready. They're done. They're done. Right now, they're just like, if I gotta eat a cow patty, so be it. I want out of this COVID thing. I just want out. So there's where we're at. And what we're going to do, if indeed there is a change of power next year, is not trust it now, this administration, and then trust it then, that administration. And it's going to seem incredibly ridiculous for me to hear that the vaccine was some sort of godsend during during a Biden administration, if that is indeed the situation we're dealing with next year. It's going to be incredibly ridiculous because right now Pfizer and Moderna are saying they are within the mid 90s% positive results with their vaccine, of course, and they they did it in the time that Trump promised the country. They just did it. They just did it. Now, granted, is it going to be the end all be all? Well, there's some difficulties because of the refrigeration for these vaccines, the refrigeration needed for these particular vaccines. So, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of difficulties, but they're going to start rolling these out, and they're not. I'm having a hard time finding where Trump has been wrong in his assessments in the last 4 years. I'm not saying he hasn't been wacky and sometimes come off as rude, but his assessments have been incredibly spot on. All right, and the only time they don't come off as spot on is when the media attacks those particular assessments, just like they attacked him on the vaccine. It says impossible. And now that they think Biden is the president, they're actually like embracing all these vaccines that Trump pushed through. That Trump gave the money to these particular companies to really put the pedal to the metal, and let's save people. Let's save lives. Let's get our country back. So it's going to be a fun thing because I get to sit on the sidelines, which I like to do, and watch people just completely contradict themselves. Just completely go to the Hippocrata. It's a land I made up. Hippocrata. Guess who lives there? David Atkins, a newly elected California member of the Democrat National Committee, declared recently that Democrats and liberals should start thinking in terms of post-World War II Germany or Japan. Wait till you hear why he wants the left. I said us, but now there's some wicked separation happening in this country. Wait till you hear why he wants that to happen. The 75 million people he referred to. He's talking about 75 million people. That's what I should have said. 75 million people that he's trying to refer to here is presumably Trump supporters. Yeah, so he wants liberals and the left, Democrats, to start thinking in terms of post-World War II Germany or Japan. And what he's thinking about is 75 million people that supposedly supported Trump. And here's why he wants to think about World War II, Germany, and Japan. According to the Associated Press, President Trump received more than 73 million votes during the 2020 presidential election. Atkins tweeted, "No, seriously, how do we..." This is a tweet. "No, seriously, how do we deprogram 75 million people?" They are so bold right now. The left, the Democrats, the socialists, the Marxists, they're so bold right now. They're not afraid to say these type of things. How do we deprogram 75 million people? Where do you start? Fox? Facebook? We have to start thinking in terms of post-World War II Germany or Japan, or the failures of Reconstruction in the South. The man wants concentration camps, re-education camps for people that think like me. For patriots to the United States, for people that love their country, the people that want to America to be first in any decision. How does America come first on this one? So, they're talking re-education camps, and those are public schools anyway. But re-education camps, concentration camps. This is what this guy is digging on. We've had 4 years of being called crazy. 4 years of being called racist, homophobic, just hate mongers, Nazis, you name it. Klansmen, you name it. Hitler's. 4 long years of being called just simply because love of country. Simply because love of the United States. And all we wanted is for the United States to come first in all decisions. And then if we were getting burned on certain decisions, like the Paris Accord, speaking of the Paris Accord, if we were going to get burned on things like the Paris Accord, we don't need to be in them. NAFTA, we just don't need to be in them. China, controlling the GDP the way they did. We don't need to be a part of that. America first. And there's where there's why they want us in concentration camps and but again, back to the Paris Accord. India is the only G20 nation doing its fair share to meet the climate change mitigation commitments it agreed to under the 2015 Paris Accords. 2020 Climate Transparency report published on Wednesday revealed Climate Transparency is an international group of 14 research and non-governmental organizations that examine global climate action. In its report, the group examined the efforts taken by the G20 nations to tackle climate change since 2015 the Paris Agreement. Under the Paris Agreement, India pledged to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions intensity 33 to 35% by 2030. Since 2015, the country has made significant strides towards achieving the goal through changes in its energy, transport industry, forestry, and waste sectors. However, India is currently not on track to reach the Paris Agreement's long-term goal to limit global warming. Okay, so I didn't check. There is a good amount of countries that signed to the Paris Accord. The United States said that this time they said and you can see why. You can see why, because all of the countries that signed the Paris Accord, only one is trying to live up to its agreement. Only one. All right? And I'm sure that the same would have been expected from the United States. If we signed the Paris Accord, we would have made all kinds of big deals about, we've got to cut down emissions. We've got to make sure that certain industries aren't doing it, and people are being. We would have strived to live up to the so-called Paris Accord, and that would have made both. There would have been 2 countries living up to the long list of countries that signed the Paris Accord. So, exactly why would we spend money to be a part of such a nonsense thing? Not nonsense because no one's taking it seriously. It's all rich countries putting money into governments of other countries. So, like, the top countries, unless, of course, you're China, because you just pretty much run the Paris Accord. So, all that money goes in that direction. So, anyway, I'm glad we weren't in the Paris Accord, but again, if there is a transfer of power back to the Paris Accord, we waste our money. Senate Finance Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley and Senate Homeland Security Governmental Affairs Committee Chairman Ron Johnson released new evidence they say shows Hunter Biden and his business associates were working deals at least as late as 2017 tied to communist China and, of course, Russia and energy interests. Basically, it shows that our counterintelligence and extortion concerns about ties to China and Russia. These new records confirm the connections between the Biden family and the communist Chinese government, as well as the links between Hunter Biden's business associates and the Russian government, and further support committee's September 23rd, 2020 reports finding that such relationships created counterintelligence and extortion concerns. My only real issue with the Hunter Biden investigation is that it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. There is all kinds of evidence, including, look, I saw some of the, we'll call them dirty videos on, they got around. There was no doubt they were going to get around. There was an actual site that set up just the probably a dozen or so, probably more videos of what Hunter Biden was doing with girls and stuff like that. There's just that. Now that alone is just some guy, doing fairly, I don't know. I guess if it's not you, it's just creepy anyway. If it's not you in the act, then it's just creepy. But it's some guy that likes to videotape himself being with women. So use this laptop a lot to do that. And then the business dealings and the emails and the text, the messaging back and forth between business associates and other countries that, dignitaries in other countries that he wanted to deal with or that he was dealing with. All of that is right there. All of that combined with his drug use, because that's some of the stuff that you see on in these videos. All of these things combined tell you clearly that there is an issue in that family. And it starts at the top. And we just ignored that. And that's fascinating. And it was ignored simply for ideology, political ideology. It was ignored that. Because there's without question, if it was, Bush, Reagan, Trump, if indeed those things were like completely provable, just like they are from the Hunter Biden laptop and the other laptop that was found, and just in communications back and forth, all of this evidence. If it were a Republican candidate, they would have been crushed, just set on fire, in the public square. It would have just there would have been no reason for them to walk out of their house ever again. But it is ignored. All of this evidence is ignored when it comes from a Democrat candidate. And it's just absolutely fascinating how all of those things can be just thrown out. Just thrown out. When it comes to picking a Democrat candidate. It's almost a badge of honor to be a scumbag as a Democrat candidate. It's a qualification. If it's not, it sure looks like it. Man, their voters are just willing to just throw anything out. They're willing to ignore anything if they can just get their guy or gal in an office position. It's an interesting phenomenon. Veteran Hollywood actor Kurt Russell believes that celebrities shouldn't weigh in publicly on politics. Thank you, Lord. He's not the only one. Mark Wahlberg said that before. There's people that I could actually probably really care for, but they've called my mindset stupid. And they really mean it. If I think a certain way, they think that it's some sort of racist. They wouldn't call me racist. White actors wouldn't call me racist, but they would call someone else racist, and if I think the same way, they would call somebody white racist for thinking the same way. So now I'm like, where do I land? You get tired of getting called stupid. You get tired of getting called stupid. You get tired of hearing ideas from people that have no idea who you are. They fly over you. That's why it's called flyover country, right? They just fly over you. L.A., New York, L.A., California, San Francisco. They fly over us. And they've taken on this mentality where they are literally above us. It's like the plane has convinced them that they are above flyover country. So, it's a disgusting thing when incredibly rich, fortunate people, beautiful people, if you will, knock, the Joes and Marys out here trying to get it done. And if it wasn't for the Joes and Marys paying for tickets to see their in many cases garbage on screen or on stage, those people wouldn't exist. What is one of the biggest jerks I could possibly imagine is Josh Gad. What is that? Who the hell does he think he is? Does anyone go out of their way to see a Josh Gad movie? And then he's got the nerve to talk about people the way he does? That people that don't agree with him politically? Bite me, Josh. Get a real life. I want to close out with this because we're headed towards the Thanksgiving Day weekend. And I know right now some of us are afraid to get with our elderly, if you will, are vulnerable for the holiday. And it's incredibly heartbreaking. And it's getting a little exhausting of hearing from politicians on what they want us to do. as far as the holidays concerned. Now, I brought this up before, but I want this is I'm going to read a couple things here, and then I'm going to close out quickly. Um, in New York, Long Island, Dawn Best saw firsthand before COVID-19 arrived at Gerwin Jewish Nursing Home. She was pleased with the care that her 83-year-old mother, Carolyn Best, received. Carolyn enjoyed activities from Tai Chi classes to visits from a pony. So she was getting good care from the caretakers there at the nursing home. But when the lockdown started and the virus began to spread in the home, the staff couldn't handle what they could what they had been dealt, what they were dealt with. The second time, Best's mother, as a retired switchboard operator, appeared on screen for a scheduled FaceTime call. She looked awful. Her eyes closed as she moaned, flailed her arms above her head, and kept repeating no. Best insisted doctors check her out. A few hours later, the doctor called seemingly frantic, saying that she only had a moment to talk. The COVID is everywhere. Best remembered the doctor saying, it is in every unit. The doctors have it, the nurses have it, and your mother may have it. Here's another one. 87-year-old, just remember that first one. 87-year-old father, military veteran Alex Leake, thank you for your service, sir, was told by his doctor, you're going to outlive us all. As the nursing home outbreaks of COVID-19 proliferated, Mr. Leake's daughter prayed that he'd be spared. When he I'm gonna jump forward a little bit. When he arrived at the hospital, he was spared the COVID-19. But when he arrived at the hospital, his eyes were rolled back and his tongue sticking out. I'll explain why. The doctors told the family that their father had gone so long without water, his potassium levels rocketed and his kidneys started failing. He died 2 weeks later of lactic acidosis. Both of those people did not die of COVID-19, and it's not trying to say, hey, COVID-19 doesn't exist. They were surrounded by a lot of people that contracted COVID-19 and died of COVID-19. Those two people did not contract it. They were spared from COVID-19. Sort of. The situation was that they were neglected because the COVID-19 situation that happened in their nursing homes, in their respective nursing homes, they were neglected. They both died of dehydration, hunger. They were neglected. Their families couldn't go see them. They died alone. In some cases, I posted the entire article where I got those two particular stories from. I posted the entire article. One lady said that she was seeing her mom almost daily and was feeding her, and when they were drinking, she was drinking water, and then they would end the day. She would actually leave her room and they'd go eat in the dining area. So it was like a lovely visit. She was getting out of her room, the blood circulating, mingling, eating in the dining area, and then they'd go back to her room with little brownies that they'd take, little sneak out, a couple brownies, and then they'd have the brownies in the room. They'd enjoy the brownies together. They enjoyed brownies, and so that was happening just about daily. And then when the COVID hit, um, that little routine went away because she couldn't go see her mom anymore, and so her mom gave up. The fight was gone. She wasn't eating. Uh, she couldn't be taken care of because people had to take care of what was happening with the COVID patients. The workers in these nursing homes are drenched in COVID, COVID related situations, COVID patients, um, contractions of COVID. COVID has been killing far more than just the people that contracted the virus. The nursing homes, again, what we did as a country through the nursing homes is borderline genocide. Borderline genocide. Here's one more thing to look at. We can start coming to the conclusion, or if you haven't already, that the cure or our response has been worse than the virus itself. Overall, 40.9 of 5,470 people, respondents who completed surveys during June, reported an adverse mental or behavioral health condition, including those who reported symptoms of anxiety and disorder to depressive disorder, those with TSRD symptoms related to COVID-19, those who reported having started to increase substance use to cope with stress or emotion related to COVID-19, 13.3, and those reported having seriously considered suicide in the preceding 30 days at 10.7%. Look, our kids are suffering. Their education is been pretty much obliterated. How these particular kids are going to catch up, I have no idea. Dare I say, what's happening is on purpose. Conspiracy theory or not, it's not good. Our kids are suffering. Again, domestic abuse is shot up. Substance abuse has shot up. Neglect of our vulnerable and elderly is just, it's horrifying. And some of us right now are dealing with again with our elderly and our vulnerable during this holiday season. And are we doing enough to make sure that this is not their last one, and if their last one would be spent alone? Go out of your way right now and make sure that if you can get your vulnerable, we'll call them, into your home to spend time with you, or if you can make it into their home and you can make it a safe space for them, do so. If it has to be virtual, then it has to be virtual. But do not just say you're not going to celebrate these holidays, because Christmas is being threatened right now as well. Do not let these people not know that they are still in your hearts. That they're still in your hearts. Because again, how many of these people died alone, lonely, scared, not surrounded by family? In some cases, people couldn't say goodbye to their family members, but they got to like 2 or 3 people got to go to the funeral home to see their loved one dead. The last time they saw them, they were fine. They haven't seen them in months. They're not allowed to see them. And then the next time they do get to see them, they're dead. Much of what we did, I refuse to believe we didn't do on purpose. I refuse. Think what you want. You think what you want. But much what we did, especially to the elderly, we did it on purpose. Because no one could possibly be this ignorant. During such a massive time of need. So I'm not trying to bring down the mood. I'm trying to motivate you this Thanksgiving. Our families have been threatened. Not even so much by this virus, but how we responded. And the fear that's been fed to us, particularly by the news media, because those are the people that come into our house every day. We turn the TV on or radio on to get information from these people. These people every day told you to be afraid. They didn't tell you about the recent Denmark study about masks. The masks that were so important, that the masks that we were told was so important, and that came to find out as they studied many people in several countries, that the percentages of the masks actually doing anything one way or the other is incredibly low. There is some sort of, decrease but it's not even, they found out that it's not even recordable. It's not even significant in any way. And yet we're still insisting that somehow that we make it some sort of mandate, some sort of law for people to wear these masks. And more people are wearing masks, and the numbers are going up. It's right there in front of us. You know you're wearing your mask, but all of a sudden now you know somebody that has COVID, or you had it yourself. But I'm wearing the mask. The numbers tell you everything. The numbers are telling you everything. It's not getting done. And what I'm saying is that our family members need us. They need us during this time of fear. And they need us during this time of fear. And we're letting our fear deny them of support. Deny them of support. We're in a divided, hurtful state right now. And the family, the nuclear family, the family unit in general is being threatened. And it's being threatened on purpose. Being an American comes with risk. from the very, very beginning that this country wanted to birth, or I should say that this country's birth. It has been a risk. We are risk takers. That's why we are absolutely relentless when it comes to hand combat. When it comes to facing people on the ground, there's hardly anybody, dare I say, better. That we are risk takers. We are the go-getters. We are the dreamers. And somehow, a virus, like all the other viruses, it's attacking things differently. Like all the other viruses that kill people here in this country, this virus was the one that decided that your family is secondary. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. Please take back your Thanksgiving. Take back your Christmas. Take back your New Year's Eve. Just take it back. We are in Don't let them scare you. Do not let these people scare you. Do not let this virus scare you. There's nothing that can stop death. Whether it be coronavirus, get hit by a bus, flu, cancer. The one thing that we were lucky enough to do at the beginning of this year was at least get to say goodbye to my dad. It happened before any of the lockdowns. They told you weren't allowed to see people anymore. So I get to say goodbye to my dad. So I know what I experienced this year, what everyone else is heartbroken about. So take back your family. Take back your holidays. If you feel you can't have people in your home, then set it up now. Go virtual. Do something. But do not let coronavirus and government step between you and your family. Your family is far too important. Not only to you, but to the rest of the country. Seriously. Your contributions to this country stems from your family. Your attitude, your personality, we're all contributors to this country, and it all stemmed from your family. So, be the risk taker that we are. Get back out there. Enjoy your holidays. Buy a lot of stuff for Christmas. Even if it's little stuff. Five Below, Family Dollar. You can go to Walmart. And they're going to have a lot of markdowns at Walmart. They got to get rid of stuff. Go, enjoy your holidays with your family. Bull on all the other mess. Thank you for joining me. Ada Jet Noise, Parler, MeWe, Rumble, and the other places. Parler, MeWe, Rumble, Ada Jet Noise. Ada Jet Noise. Excuse me as I belch. Catch me Follow me. Subscribe. Parler, MeWe, Rumble, and Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining me. That really wasn't as negative as you may think it was. It's actually very positive. Enjoy your holidays. We're headed up on this Thanksgiving thing. If you're going to do the turkey thing, knock it out. Make sure all your family is eating well, getting fat. You know, take care of your elderly and your vulnerable. Just demand some sort of normalcy, because all that anger and all that split that you feel in your head, you're tired. You're just plain tired of all this nonsense. So, I'm going to see you soon. The weekend's off for me. Thank you so much. Hopefully I can see you Monday. Until then, big hug. Be good. Be still. Enjoy your life.